Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vector Tech Talk Show. And in this episode, we are having a quite a unique topic. It's one of the future technology that we are going to talk about. We will be talking about neurotechnology enabling brain augmentation. And for that, we have our guest speaker, Mr. Rahul Agarwal, with us. Welcome, Rahul, to the Vector Tech Talk.
Thank you, Vikas.
Thanks. Thanks for being here. And for the benefit of audience, let me share you the quick bio of Mr. Rahul Agarwal. Rahul Agarwal is an engineering leader with more than 25 plus years of experience in development of complex products involving software and hardware. His clients were spread over geographies: Finland, Germany, Italy, France, UK, USA, China, South Korea, and Vietnam, to name few. He has led programs in diverse technology areas, including wireless, cloud, Datacom, satellite, and telecom. He has led creation of an innovation with multiple proof of concepts like cloud, RAN, Instant-VPN, vEPC, etc. that were demonstrated at MWC and other shows. He is Bachelor in Computer Science and Engineering, postgraduate in Technology Management, and Diploma in Cyber Law. He has worked with HCL, CDOT, Hughes Software System, Flextronics, Aricent, Altran, and 3SR Consultancy. His current interest areas are neuroscience, cybersecurity, and quantum technologies. He has written articles on various topics and is also deeply involved in creation and delivery of learning programs for students and professionals. Rahul, you has an amazing journey of the work that you have done in the technology world. But how this interest about neurotechnology? So for the benefit of our audience, could you start with what is neurotechnology? Because most of us are not even aware about that.
Sure. So thanks, Vikas, for inviting me for this session. Uh, Neurotechnology is basically technology to modulate neural activity, basically the activity of your neural system, which involves brain, spinal cord, and the nerves. So brain is like a electrical system, like any computer. So electrical impulses are used to communicate with different parts of the brain and the body, and this electrical impulses based communication continues all the time, even when we are sleeping. So
Okay.
this is something like a continuous generator which is working in your brain, and that keeps on sending messages, like a kind of our communication system of the world. Now this electrical communication produces electrical waves, and these are effectively called as brain waves. Now we can use certain devices to monitor these waves, and these waves can be monitored from different parts of our brain. So on the skull, you can put multiple electrodes at different areas of the skull, and monitor what kind of waves are getting generated. So the waves are dependent upon the what kind of activity is happening at that particular moment in the brain.
Okay.
So by monitoring these waves, uh, by you can try to identify what is happening inside the brain. And we have tools like EEG, which is called electroencephalogram, or to, imaging techniques like fMRI, which help us in identifying which parts of the brain are active. So
Yeah.
this is one area of neurotechnology. So where you can monitor what is happening in the brain. This helps in uh, medical field.
Okay.
Another part is related to stimulation. So how you can stimulate certain parts of the brain, maybe using electrical signals or a magnetic signals, or maybe even ultrasound, to modulate some parts of the brain to treat certain neurological conditions. So this is in short what
Yeah.
neurotechnology is about, and we can discuss more in detail.
Sure. Okay. So I'm just curious that considering your background in telecommunication, so how did transition to neurotechnology happen?
Okay, so that's an interesting thing. So I'm basically a computer engineer, and like computers are involved nowadays, involved in each and everything, and
Yes.
I have worked in communication area for more than 25 years. So if you look at brain, it is again a kind of a communication. It keeps on doing communication all across. So your brain is actually the overall controller of your body, and it gives instructions to the different parts of body to control it. Even all our emotions, our thoughts, our thinking, everything is taken care by the brain, and there's a lot of communication involved in that. So uh, I think it's a kind of a logical progression. And like computers are nowadays involved in each and everything. We are even talking about computers which are based upon how the brain works, and that also was another kind of inspiration for me to get into this field.
Okay, so probably the telecom from the tower, and there is an analogy between the how the communication is happening within our brain, and that
Yes,
became one of your inspiration. That's interesting
yes,
to know. But
yeah,
in
and
addition to medical, yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, and Professor Pant, he's also
Yes.
key inspirer to get into this area. So he suggested me to look into this specific area because he said probably this will be the next logical progression for you. So he's the key motivator for me to get into this field.
Yes, truly, he is the motivator for the for our audience who may not know Professor Pant. He is one of the leading educationists in India, and always talking about the new technology and how things are evolving at a faster pace. He even conduct a monthly sessions where people come and discuss all about the future technologies. So you can follow him as well, Professor Pant, and if you search, you will find a lot of details about him, and he has been an inspiration to me as well. Now, talking about Rahul, I wanted to know that one is the any if there is any medical emergency, then we are looking for neurotechnology. But is it only limited to any overcoming any disease, or there are other applications of neurotechnology as well?
Uh, yeah, so neurotechnology, as you mentioned, it's heavily involved uh, in handling brain-related disorders. Like it helps in monitoring the brain functions or which part of the brain is working when we are doing certain brain activities. But in addition to that, it also helps us in identifying what kind of attention a person is paying. Uh, so we have uh, some devices like EEG devices, which are like a headgear, and it can be
Okay.
worn by anyone. And there are experiments happening across the world where people are using these headgear kind of instrument to see the say what is the attention of people. So like in a class, if students are wearing such a headgear, so whether they are attentive or not, or which part of the lecture was kind of well received. So there are a lot of such experiments being done. Similarly, scientists are also working on trying to find out what kind of thoughts are occurring in a mind and reconstructing those. And it is also being used maybe in the gaming uh, applications where the game control is happening directly through mind, or in the virtual reality field, or even for meditative help or such areas. So there's huge range of applications which are possible through use of these devices.
Okay. Now, while having this conversation, I could recall I was attending a conference where someone was talking about neuro implants. So probably these people are having, like we have tattoos, like we just want as a hobby. So these people are having this passion where they implants something on their body, and probably the neuro implants, probably they are using neurotechnologies only to get
Mhm.
some additional information. So I think there are many things which are coming up with these kind of technologies.
Yeah, so that's something a brain computer interface. So you have an implant which can be put into the brain, and uh, it's something which is providing interface between the brain and the computers. Uh,
Probably we are having a, just to interrupt, we are having a question from Amit on the same line as you were answering. I thought let me take this up as well. That Amit is asking what is brain computer interface and how does it work?
Okay, so brain-computer interface is basically a device between brain and an external device like a computer or maybe a prosthetic limb or something like that. So you can uh, essentially when you have to move or control your limbs, then the brain gives a command, and that's basically a motor command which goes as a electrical signals. So the objective of this device is to tap into these signals and pass it on to a other controlling device like computer, where these signals are decoded, and these are converted into the commands for the prosthetic limb.
Okay.
So these devices can help you to interpret what kind of commands the brain is giving, or what kind of thoughts are emerging in the brain. And these devices could be of three types. It could be either a non-invasive device like EEG, which is just basically put on the skull, and you detect signals, brain signals from that. Or it could be semi-invasive, where it is put inside the skull but above the brain tissues. And invasive is the third category, in which the device is directly put in onto the brain tissues. So using these devices, you can maybe control a prosthetic limb, or maybe type on the keyboard, or make a selection on maybe like on a GUI based interface. So these are different possibilities which scientists are working on. They have also been able to succeed in achieving some of these.
Okay. Thanks for answering the question. And Amit, I hope your question is answered. Uh, Rahul, there was a news earlier that there was a news in January this year, that Elon Musk promoted a company called Neuralink, which has successfully implanted a chip in human brain. So, what is it all about? Is it the similar thing?
Yeah, so it's a kind of a device which is put inside the brain. So this is a kind of invasive device, and good thing is that it is a wireless device. So while so far the devices which have been created, those are wired devices which have to be kind of connected through wire to some external device. But the device which is being developed by Neuralink is a wireless device, and it can be charged wirelessly as well. And through this, they plan to treat serious brain diseases. But in future, they also want to use it for human enhancement through brain augmentation. So that's basically the long-term objective of Elon Musk.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for answering that. In the same neurotechnology, there is also a commonly used word called brain augmentation. So, what is brain augmentation, and why we need to augment brain? Like, are we trying to emulate brain through AI, or what is happening?
So that's an interesting one. See, when we talk about brain augmentation, so we are talking about enhancing the human capacity. So if we compare between brain and computer, what we find is that the speed of information processing uh, or calculations uh, is much faster in computers.
Okay.
Similarly, if we have to look at how we share thoughts, the computers are much more efficient. And if we talk about memory storage, as humans, we have a tendency to forget, but computers have a much more reliable memory. And
Yes.
if we talk about learning new skills, we have our brain has to do a lot of practice. But in case of computers, it is just like downloading a new program. Or when we transfer certain information to others, there's a lot of information loss which happens. But in case of communication, this information transfer is kind of seamless. Similarly, if we talk about our sensory organs, they have certain limitations. So, like we can hear only certain levels of frequencies, but we know like there are certain animals which can hear, which have auditory capability of going beyond that. Similarly, in terms of our view, our eyes, our eye can detect only certain type of spectrum, but there are certain animals who can see beyond those spectrum as well. So
Okay.
so there are limitations which are caused by different organs and capabilities of the brain. And the idea of human enhancement and brain augmentation is to overcome some of these limitations. And maybe I think if you have seen movies like Terminator, where the hero is having a kind of a combination of some external machines, so
Yes.
which are embedded into the body of the person. So all that probably looks to be fancy currently, but the scientists are already working in that direction.
Okay. So who are the key players in this market already, or is it still only a research subject?
So if we talk about BCI, which is non-invasive, it is mostly dependent upon EEG. So we have players like Emotive, NeoSky, and Muse who are providing EEG devices, and there are a lot of players who are developing applications around that. So since it's a kind of non-invasive technique, so this it is quite safe, and there's a lot of possibility of implementing based upon that. So, in fact, there are a lot of Indian startups also who are working in this area. So there are companies like Nextem, Europhony, Neurablix, Brainsight AI. So there are a number of companies who are taking interest in this area, and they're working on different applications using EEG. But when
Okay.
we talk about uh, the invasive BCI, which is which is a device being put inside the brain uh, through surgery. That is a challenging area, and there are only few companies who are working in this. So BlackRock is the oldest company, and they have been working on this for more than a decade now. Synchron is another one, and Neuralink has recently started about 3 or 4 years back. So these are some of the major players in this field.
Okay. That sounds like interesting and good to hear that Indian startups are also working in this area and covering this aspect. I have another question coming from Sunil, who is asking, how do one transition to this field as a career?
Okay, so that's interesting. So neuroscience is essentially a multidisciplinary field. There are multiple fields of science involved in this. So of course, biology uh, is very much involved. So neurology and biology, these are core at this. But if we talk about the technology aspect, electronics and computer science may play a major role in this. And once you get the data, that requires a lot of analysis. So data analytics is a major requirement here. So you need to have a lot of mathematical concepts, and artificial intelligence is also playing a huge role in interpreting this data and making decisions. So it's a
Okay.
multidisciplinary field which is involving a lot of expertise from different areas, and that's what uh, is required if somebody wants to get into this area. So
Okay. So it's
uh, realizing this, we have also introduced a course. uh, we have a website which is neurolearn.space, and there is a course which we are offering that is called Neuroscience for Everyone. So that neuroscience doesn't remain limited only to the biology students. Even non-medical students can learn this field, and there's a huge potential which a person can have if they get into this area.
Yeah, and it's an amazing work that you and your team is doing on that part, because I think in the initial phases, first and foremost is the problem of understanding how to get the quality content and from where one can get access to this kind of information. Because nowadays, I think it's not just a knowledge scarcity, but knowledge is overdoing. Like people go there, but finding quality content is always a struggle. So I appreciate, for the benefit of audience, you will see a scrolling bar below where you can find the link of that website. You can visit that website and enroll for that course. Mr. Rahul, we have another question which is coming from Rishika, that what are the key challenges in development of this technology?
Okay, so as I mentioned, like there are companies who have been working in this area for more than a decade. So that means there's a lot of challenge. So the key challenge is that brain is a very complex organ, and we still don't have very good knowledge about how the brain works. So there's a limited information about that, and that's what scientists are working on. But in addition to this uncertainty, there's the key challenge when we work in this technology is the signal which is received from brain, that is not reliable. So like we are talking about signal coming from the brain based upon the brain activity, and if the brain's activity even slightly differs, then the signal becomes unreliable. Similarly, user also who is basically undergoing this experiment, that also needs to be given a lot of training, because if they start thinking a lot of things, uh, probably the experiment will fail. Then invasiveness, as I mentioned, like you need to do surgery and put device inside a brain, that is something which is not kind of something which is acceptable by all. And again, the complexity and the cost is also a huge major factor which come in the way of development of this technology. So the good thing is that world over the governments are taking a lot of interest in this, and they are initiating a lot of research based funds in this, and they have created special organizations just to focus on the research in this area.
Okay, I think that was an interesting insight into the knowledge about neurotechnology. My last question would be that talking about the legal aspect, as we know about the artificial intelligence itself, when we talk about self-driving cars, one of the aspect is that who will be responsible in case of accident. In the similar manner, if you are talking about neurotechnology, somebody has gone for a say a invasive implant, and if something is going wrong, who will be responsible? Because it's not a hobby, it was no, may not be a medical emergency that was done, it was purely done in the interest field. So do we have any legal aspect also related to neurotechnology?
Right. So this is a major challenge, and that's the reason right now whatever work is happening, especially on humans, that is limited to only the people who have some kind of psychiatric disorders. So people who have, say, who have got some kind of a stroke, or who have got some kind of paralysis. So right now, only the people who are willing to accept such kind of surgeries or devices, those are very limited. And again, there are a lot of government rules which need to be followed before you can kind of undertake such a surgery. So right now, the number of players in this field is very limited, and uh, I think it's again limited to some countries like US or Australia and other countries. I don't think it is currently happening in India as far as invasive surgery is concerned. But yeah, for non-invasive BCI, there are a lot of players. In addition to this, there are also privacy concerns. Like if you are able to read my mind and find out uh, information from there, so what will happen to that information? Also, there are some ethical concerns, like if you have some cognitive control over my mind, then who is going to be responsible? Or safety and health risk, we have already talked. So, and if you create some kind of disparity among the society by implementing such uh, uh, brain enhancement, then that's also an area which will be of concern. So, but again, these are things which will come a lot later. But the primary issue right now is about the health and the safety.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So thanks, Mr. Rahul, for sharing such beautiful insight about neurotechnology. I think with this conversation, our audience must have got some key insights about what is happening into this field and what they can look forward to. Before we end the today's Vectoscaler Talk, any last message for the audience that you want to share with our audience?
So I would just say that it's a very exciting field, and probably we don't realize that brain is the overall controller of we as a person. So generally we tend to think that we have a brain, but actually it is like this, that the brain is the actual controller and the rest of the body is basically just following what the brain is commanding. So we have to move beyond considering brain as a kind of a medical, uh, just a medical subject, but if we can look at it from the other perspective as well, we can probably look at a lot of further enhancements uh, in our life. In fact, if people like Mark Zuckerberg says that people will one day be able to share full sensory and emotional experiences online, uh, not just the photos and videos. And Elon Musk says that people would need to become cyborgs to be relevant in an artificial intelligence age. So, of course, these are very futuristic statements, but these are the things which are kind of coming up, and the ones who are looking forward to new technologies, they can look forward to get into this area. And
Thanks. Thanks.
that's the purpose of our website, neurolearn.space. So I would suggest whosoever is interested to get into this area, they can visit our website, and also there are learning programs available. You can enroll for those programs.
Sure. And I think people will start following you over the LinkedIn to get more information. Your LinkedIn ID is shown below so that people can connect with you and follow you. Thanks, Mr. Rahul, for sharing such beautiful insight on Vectoscaler Tech Talk Show.
Thank you. Thanks, Vikas. And thanks to all.
And thanks to the audience for always being such an amazing audience. And with after next week, we will come again with another amazing speaker like this with another Tech Talk Show. Till then, keep learning, keep growing. Have a nice day ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you.